Module 4 is a non-detailed study of the Romantic and Victorian period, starting with Preface to the Lyrical Ballads by William Wordsworth. The preface is in a nature of a defense of the theory that poetry must be written in the real language of men and in a state of vivid sensation. It deals with what is poetry, subjects of poetry, the style of poetry, and the language of poetry according to William Wordsworth. Next, we have Olaudah Equiano's The Interesting Narrative, chapter 4 and 5. The full title is The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Olaudah Equiano, or Gustavus Vasa, the African, written by himself. It was published in 1789. It has 10 chapters. The book describes Equiano's time spent in enslavement and documents his attempts at becoming an independent man through his study of the Bible and his eventual success in gaining his own freedom and in business thereafter. Shelley's The CENCI, a tragedy in 5 acts, is the story that centers on Count Francisco CENCI, who is notorious for his depravity. He gives a party at which, to the horror of his guest, he gleefully announces the death of 2 of his sons. Another victim of his cruelty is his daughter Beatrice, whom he has raped. Beatrice enlists the help of Orsino, a priest and Roman nobleman, whom she had once hoped to marry. With the approval of the CENCI family, Orsino plots the murder of the count. When the other conspirators are found out, Orsino evades capture. The rest are tried and executed. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the Modern Prometheus, is an epistolary novel in the form of story within a story. It is a Gothic novel, a science fiction. It narrates the dreadful consequences that arise after a scientist, Victor Frankenstein, has artificially created a human being, a hideous, sapient creature, in an unorthodox scientific experiment. The monster attempts to fit into human society but is shunned, which leads to seek revenge against Frankenstein. Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights describes romantic adventure in a mysterious and frightening settings. The major characters are Heathcliff, Edgar, Isabella, Hareton, Catherine, young Catherine, Linton, Lockwood, Nellie Dean, etc. It narrates with exceptional imaginative power, a gripping story of love and revenge, passion and reason, demonic evil, and innate human goodness. Questions based on the characters, especially Heathcliff, then the precariousness of the social class, the destructiveness of love that never changes. These kind of questions can be asked from this novel. Oliver Twist, The Parish Boy's Progress, is Charles Dickens' second novel. The story centers on an orphan, Oliver Twist, born in a workhouse and sold into apprenticeship with an undertaker. After escaping, Oliver travels to London where he meets the Artful Dodger, a member of a gang of juvenile pickpockets led by the elderly criminal Fagin. It depicts the impoverished London underworld and to illustrate his belief that poverty leads to crime. Thomas Hardy's Tess of the D'Urbervilles is a compassionate, controversial portrayal of a young woman victimized by the self righteousness, rigidity of English social morality. The novel centers on the main characters Teresa, Tess D'Urberville, Alec D'Urberville, and Angel Clare. It suggests that a family history is not only meaningless but also utterly undesirable. Questions like changing ideas of social class in Victorian England, then the themes like men dominating women, that kind of questions can be asked. Jane Austen's Mansfield Park is the most controversial and also the least popular among Austen's major novels. It is the most socially realistic novel, centering on the characters Fanny Price, Sir Thomas Bertram and Lady Bertram, Tom, Edmund, Maria, Julia, Mr. and Mrs. Crawford, etc. It is Jane Austen's third published novel. It is controversial in case that Edward Said implicated this novel in Western culture's careless attitude towards slavery. Sir Walter Scott's Ivanhoe, a Romance, is set in 12th century England. It tells the story of the Saxon protagonist Sir Wilfrid of Ivanhoe, who is out of favor with his father for his allegiance to the Norman king Richard, the Lionheart. We can also see the legendary Robin Hood, initially under the name of Locksley, in this novel. It is published in 3 volumes.